I don't know if you're anything like me. I don't know if you grew up in a house like mine, but in our house at dinner time, my brother and I would sit at opposite ends of the table, and then my mom and my dad would sit on either side. And dinner time was a time when you didn't talk a lot, right? It was time for mom and dad to talk. They would be the ones that would have the conversation. And then every now and then, my dad would look at us and ask, "So what'd you do today?" Or "How'd school go today?" Or if it was the weekend, he might ask, "What was the movie about?" And every time that I would go to tell the story of a movie we had just watched, I would start trying to replicate the exact way the movie had played out, right? Even though there might have been a chronological order, even though there might have been a particular structure to the movie, when I told the story, I would try and tell it the same way the story was told on the screen rather than from A to B to C. Even if it started in the middle and then went backwards and went forward, I would start in the middle and then go backward and then try and go forward. And it would annoy my dad so much, right? Because he was just like, no, stop. Think before you're going to talk. Think about what you're going to say before you say it. I don't know how many times that happened, right? That I would be told over and over, right? Before you tell a story, think of what you're going to say before you say it. Plan it out. Think it through. If you're going to give me a synopsis of a 2-hour movie, it shouldn't take you 2 hours. Figure out what's the important part. Break it down, put it in a line, and give me a structure. That's the way you tell a story. You have a clear structure, you have a clear understanding of what you're trying to say, and you go A, B, and C. Think about what you're going to say before you say it. Unfortunately, among the many wonderful things that I got from my dad, I also picked up some bad habits, right? And now when my kids walk up and they go to tell me a story, it's everything in me to stop from saying, wait, stop, think about it, think about what you're going to say before you say it, and then just tell it to me in a straight structure. You know, we're not designed to do that. We're designed to just tell stories. We're designed to kind of just share whatever came up. And then invariably it goes something like this. Well, so we were doing this. Oh, wait, there's something I forgot to tell you. Back before we started this is what happened. And then, okay, so back over here. Oh, it would kill my dad. And now, unfortunately, it kills me. And yet I have to work hard to just let my kids tell me their version of the story. Let them tell me their rendition of the movie, whatever it is. And just hear it. And yet, I do that as a parent because I just want to encourage their understanding of the fact that I'm listening to them and that they can come to me with any way they want to share it, they can come to me. But that doesn't mean that that's how I tell stories. No. When I write or when I tell a story, I think about what I'm going to say first. I think about the structure. I think about how I want to get the point across. Now, that doesn't always mean I go A, B, C. Maybe I start with C and then go A and B back to it. But I think about it ahead of time. I plan for it. One of the dynamics that's played out in, not even related to story, is when someone says, "Teach me how to play a game." I don't know if you've ever played a game with anyone. I don't know if you've ever been the first person to have to learn bridge or canasta or spades from a group of people who already know it. And they mix the objective, when they go to explain the game, they mix the objective with the rule play, with the strategy and the tactics. They mix it all up. And you're left going, I still don't know what to do. Sometimes, better yet, they jump right into the low-level details. Well, you say this before you say this, but you can't say this. And if you're going to say this, it means this. And they haven't even told you how you win the game. Right? Think about what you're going to say before you say it. Think about how you're going to structure your information. And then share it. I don't know if you've ever had someone explain a game to you, but it can be really frustrating to try and go, okay, you know, you're not a good explainer of games. Let's try someone else because maybe you should stop doing that. I don't know how you explain games to people. I don't know how you tell stories or, create a synopsis for a movie or a book. I don't know how you do it. But when it comes to writing a blog post, I can tell you that it is worthwhile if you think about what you're going to say beforehand. I shape it this way for folks. When I'm talking to them about writing a blog post, I tell them, have one point. Have one and only 1 point. Don't have 3 points, don't have 5 points, and by all means, don't have 7 points. Because no one's going to remember that. Have 1 point. And then define the structure and the best way, the best vehicle you can create to tell that one, make that 1 point. My 1 point today is think about what you're going to say before you say it. Think about what you're going to write before you write it. Plan it. Figure it out and build a structure that supports it. And make sure that you get your main point across, because some people won't give you a lot of time. My dad was one of them. If you started telling the story incorrectly, if you started explaining the movie and then you had to jump back to something that you forgot to mention at the beginning that now becomes salient later in the story, he'd stop you right then and there and he'd just say, all right, now we're done. Let's go. Now you look at my brother, and he'd ask my brother, how'd your day go? That was it. I lost my shot. Now, my dad's not a jerk. I'm not trying to tell you that you should be that way. And in fact, if you have kids, let them tell you anything they want to tell you. There's time enough to teach them how to tell a good story. But your audience, the people who land on your page, the people who come to read your post, they may be like my dad. They may give you 20, 30 seconds to decide if they can understand your main point or not. And if you can't think before you write, if you can't structure and plan, if it's just free form, let me just drop this on a page and see if it makes sense because it made sense in my head, you won't retain a loyal readership. You won't invite new people to jump on and participate in the conversation, because many of them will say, I don't get where you're going. I don't get what you're trying to say. Have 1 point. Think before you write. Plan it out. And make sure that you've built a structure that supports your one main point. Thanks.